What's up, everyone? All right, so we're going to have a reality chat about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is the third episode, and as I kind of expected, Jen Shah was just doing the most. Now, the episode was not that eventful. It wasn't, a whole lot going on, but I'm just going to talk about a few things that stood out to me. Okay, so Heather is the owner of the Beauty and Laser Center, who is divorced. She was married, and after 11 years of being married, her husband said that he didn't want to be married anymore. And they had already 3 kids, 3 daughters, as a matter of fact, together. And she is still a Mormon, and she and Jen and her assistant, and I think somebody else, they were at her place as she is planning a baby shower for 5 of her employees who are currently expecting. Now, I don't know if they're all like at the same stage in their pregnancy, but I think they're kind of close to it. And they're all young ladies. They're all young, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that they're probably in that Mormon culture as well, because it's big there. The majority of the people there, that if they are religious, they're Mormon, and in that Mormon community, they get married and they're having the babies, and that's what they do. So it's not an uncommon thing, but she's planning this baby shower for 5 of her employees, so it's going to be a joint thing, and it's a cute theme, but it kind of made me laugh a little bit because the babies, they're not even born yet, but she's getting each of them toy Range Rovers. And it's so funny because it's like it brings back my car to my mind. Well, the car I used to have, because I had a Range Rover Evoque, and white and color also, and all 5 of the babies, they're getting mini Range Rover Evoques, and it's like, that is so cute but so strange at the same time, because it's like the kids aren't even born yet. When would they even be able to use something like that? I don't know like what the age range is for that, but I mean, it's cute. She's got the money to do it, and of course they're doing that theme of everything is extravagant and rich and luxurious. So like, no, you wouldn't get the baby big wheel, you get it a Range Rover, I guess. So okay, whatever. But as she's talking to Jen and the other ladies, she's talking about her marriage that ended in divorce, and she's just feeling inadequate because she's like, a good Mormon mother, one of their beliefs is the most important job that a woman can have is in the home raising their children. And she's, and as Heather's talking about it, she's like, these are the things that we women, we strive to have or give the appearance of having. And that was like what caught me. It's like the appearance of, because just because something looks perfect, just because something looks good, doesn't mean that it actually is. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't for her, because she was married to this guy and they had 3 children together, and he obviously wasn't happy. I don't even think she was really happy, but she was just going through the motions of it, because as she's doing the confessional, one of the producers asked her, like, have you ever been in love? And she says, I don't know. So she wasn't even really in love with her husband. So it's like, okay, well, is that the type of life that you really want to have? And so many people do that when they get caught up in these religions. You're living your life for the beliefs of the religion, and you're not living a life that you can have some type of joy and fulfillment from. And that's not even God. Like that has nothing to do with God. Those are man-made rules that were made to control. So in my mind, as I'm watching this, I'm like, girl, why are you still a Mormon? You were married to this guy. It didn't work out. You were trying to live this Mormon lifestyle. Obviously, you really need to figure out what you want to do to make yourself happy, because I don't even think you really want to be a Mormon anymore, but for whatever reason you still feel stuck in that. But that's just some of the things that I got from that. And even though Jen Shaw kind of gets on my nerves, she was speaking some sense in that situation. She was like, you have 3 daughters. You probably did them a favor by not staying in that relationship, because do you want your girls to see you going through the motions of being with somebody that you're not even really in love with, and then they follow suit, following those footsteps, and then they're living a life where they're just trying to please everybody else, please everybody on the outside, make things look like they appear good, and it really isn't. So that was what I got from that scene, and it's cute, but I'm hoping that Heather can find her peace. And I mean, if your peace is in that Mormon religion, I guess make it work. But if you're not really happy in that and you're still trying to figure things out, then maybe it's because you're not supposed to be in that, and it was just something that you were brought into, maybe born into, but it's not even what you truly genuinely believe. All right, well, here we go. Next scene, Jen and Meredith. Meredith is at home. She's making margaritas in the blender, the mixer, and she forgot to put the top on. So it like splashed all over the place. That was definitely not scripted. That happened, and she was like, "Oh crap!" And they caught that on tape. So of course they weren't gonna edit that out. They like let that roll, and they played that part out. So that was cool. Anyway, doorbell rings, and her son Brooks is like, who is that? And Meredith answers the door. It's Jen. So Jen comes in. She's hugging the kids, hugging Meredith, and it's hard for me to not stare at Jen's face, because her face is I just feel like she just has way too much fillers. I could be wrong, but my spidey senses and my beauty industry professional knowledge just lets me know that she's just gone way too overboard with the fillers. Her face, honestly, and I'm not trying to be nasty or mean, but honestly, her entire face looks swollen. Honestly, it's not even just like her face. It makes her head look bigger than it should be. It really does. It makes her head look bigger than it should be. I know some people have really big heads, big faces, big foreheads. Some people don't have a forehead. They have an 8 head. Okay, I get it. But when you looked at the pictures of her, when they were showing pictures of her from years ago, like when she first met her husband, and I get it, she's not the same age as she was when she first met him. She just didn't look like that. And that the way that she looks now is from the reconstructions, we shall say. I don't know if she's ever had like a facelift or anything like that, but I do believe the girl has too much fillers. Anyway, she is talking, chit-chatting. Meredith is in the room with her children. Granted, her children are not babies. They're not 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, not even 12 years old. They're young adults. They are. Her daughter, I believe, is 18, and her son is 21. But these are Meredith's children. And Jen was talking to Meredith about this upcoming party, 1920s theme party that I believe Whitney is having. And so they're talking about the outfits and everything. And then Jen's like, well, I want to have a sleepover on Saturday night, which I believe the party was going to be on Saturday, so she wanted to have a sleepover that night. And Jen is talking about how her husband and her sons are not there, and her husband is a coach, and I guess her sons are in that world as well. So she says, even though I have this like big home, I'm there alone a lot. So she wanted to have a sleepover. Well, I could tell that Meredith was just trying to be like nice, and she was like, okay, yeah. And she was talking about, we're going to do facials. God. We're going to do facials, and we're going to she said something about kick it up or something like that. Anyway, Brooks, the son, he's like, well, what is that? And she says, well, I don't really... High kicks. That's what she said. We're going to do high kicks. Which, to be honest, I'm like, when I hear high kicks, I'm thinking, what? Cheerleaders? The Rockettes? Like, what is that? And she said, well, I don't really want to show you because you might see my vagina. Just saying that to Meredith's children, or even in front of them, whether they're adults or not, I just felt was just so cringy. But she said it. So that alone was cringy. Well, then she proceeds to do it. And she's kicking up her legs. And I saw the look on Brooke's face and Meredith's daughter's face, Chloe. And they looked so uncomfortable. Like, they were like... and I was like that she's really doing that. She just said, I don't want to show you because you might see my vagina. So at first I'm thinking, even though it was inappropriate to say, she's trying to be funny by saying that. But then again, I double thought and I said, well, you know what? In the first episode, when Jen was talking to Heather about Lisa, because Heather thought Lisa was, somebody that was cool and she hadn't seen her in years. But when Jen was talking to Lisa about Heather, Lisa was like, well, I don't really know her. And then she made a comment about, like, I think I remember her from like college, and she was like, flashing, like, and she did the motion. Lisa just did the motion. Well, and this is in the first episode, when Jen was talking to Heather about Lisa and saying that, well, Lisa said she doesn't really know you, but then she, also went on to say that you were like flashing at school and like honor code what? And Jen actually lifted her shirt a little bit and you could see her under boobs. So I don't believe she had on a bra. Didn't look that way. So I'm saying all that to say, she probably didn't have on any panties, and that's why Brooks was like, I could see her vagina. And even though Brooks, I believe he didn't come out and say, but I don't believe he plays for, the team of men liking women. I believe he, likes, the guys, and that's his choice. So I don't think he wanted to see that as a gay man or as the child of, her friend. That was so inappropriate. So I was like, wow. Well, anyway, I don't know. I don't think she had many drinks at that point, because she really had just gotten there, unless they sped up the time and she had already knocked back a few margaritas. But even with that, I don't think that was the case, and I don't think that that's appropriate whether she did or not. Well, Brooks, he was talking to his mom, Meredith, later after, Jen left, probably maybe the next day. And he was like, I cannot believe she did that. Me and Chloe were so uncomfortable like that. I cannot believe she kicked her legs up and I could see her crotch. And he was like, I really don't want you having a sleepover with her, and I really don't even want her coming over here. I just don't feel comfortable with her. I can agree with him on that. And it puts Meredith in a weird spot, because she's trying to be friendly with Jen. I don't know how close they really were. I really don't perceive that they were really that close, but how these reality shows are, especially these housewife shows. Well, he was like, no, I don't want you having a sleepover with her. Plus, Chloe's home. I'm here. We just, we're your children. We want to spend some time with you. And Meredith, she's like, well, yeah, I get it. I understand. And I'll just let her know that. Well, Jen is at home with her team. She's similar to Erica Girardi from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I guess, because she has to have a glam squad and a team of people, even though she doesn't really have a job or a business, let alone. to need assistance for. So you need all of these assistants to be around the house, to do your makeup, to do your hair, to get you dressed, to pick out your outfits. You need a stylist. You need somebody to fan your face. You need somebody to put on your panties and bra, I guess, to, I don't know, wipe your butt. I like, why do you have all of these assistants? What do you need them for? But she has this team of people around her, and she's telling these assistants that, well, Meredith sends me a text message and says that she can't do the sleepover again because Chloe wants to spend time with her. She's home from college. And Jen's like, she doesn't want to spend time with her. She's 18 years old. Just because your kids don't want to spend time with you doesn't mean that her child doesn't want to spend time with her. And Meredith's children and her, they really do seem to have that type of close-knit dynamic. So just because you don't have it, don't judge and say that they don't have that. And hey, if she's blowing you off or giving you an excuse, then just take it for what it is. But to make a huge deal out of that, because some late 40s, early 50s, whatever year old women they are, decided to renege on a sleepover. Okay. Rich world problems, not first world problems, rich world problems, because just because we're in the first world doesn't mean that everybody's rich. That's definitely rich world problems. It's ridiculous. So the other thing that made me a little bit uncomfortable, kind of a lot of uncomfortable, Mary Cosby, the one that's married to her step grandfather, she actually was talking about that a little bit. She had dinner with Meredith, and they were talking about marriage and talking about their kids, and their relationships and the dynamics. And Mary was talking about with the marriage that she was arranged to be in, by her late grandmother, that family, her mom felt like she should have been the one to be married to the step grandfather. It's just, all of that stuff is weird. It will continue to be weird. I will never understand it. I just will never understand it. I will never try to understand it. It just is that. They've said what it is, and it's that, but I will never understand that. But Mary says, with all of that, her grandmother left her this church, all of these properties, homes, money, it was a lot. So it seems like they've gotten a lot, okay? A lot of money from this church lifestyle. And it's a Pentecostal church. It's not a Mormon church. Well, Mary talks about how she and her husband did not consummate their marriage, which means they didn't sleep together on the night of their wedding. She said, we actually didn't do it for a couple of weeks until after. She said, thank God I was on my period. And then I stretched it out. He continued to ask, and I would say, no, I'm still on my period. But she was like, but after a couple of weeks, going up to 28 days, I was just like, okay, I need to pray for strength. And thank God I got through it. I was just, as I was sitting there listening to that, my face was just cringing, and my eyes were squinting, and my ears were popping. It was just so much, and I couldn't. But she says, after the first time, everything was all good. It was great, she actually said. I don't want to find out. Never want to find out how good or great any family or step relative is in the bedroom. I'm sorry. No. She will never make us understand that. Well, she won't make me understand it. I don't know about you guys, but she'll never make me understand that. I was cringing the whole time she was talking about it, but she's definitely become accustomed to it. They have a child, a son, who is in school having some school issues and things like that. But she invited Whitney and her dad to come to church. But when she was at the dinner with Meredith, she said, well, Whitney is coming to church and she's going to be bringing her dad. And Meredith said, I would love to come. I would love to visit. And Mary said, "Oh, I would love to have you. Like, thank you for all of the pressure." As they were talking about it, I'm like, Meredith, I don't know if you know what you're in for, or Whitney, but we shall see. So they show them going into the church. And I used to go to a Pentecostal church years ago, so I know how it is with the, the high praise and the jumping and the shouting and the loud music and people dancing and all of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know if these white girls know what they're in for. And I'm not saying just black churches do that stuff, because I know that there are white Pentecostal, people who are white that are Pentecostal, and even, Asians that are Pentecostals. There are a lot of different races that are Pentecostal. So Pentecostal is not a particular race of people, but we just tend to know more African Americans who are Pentecostal because they show that all the time. Anyway, Mary in that wig is very disheveled. It was disheveled before she started preaching. It was disheveled before she got up in the pulpit. It was extremely disheveled. So with all of the money that the church is bringing in, I don't know why she doesn't have a good hairstylist or somebody who can make her some really great hair units, or she can just have them ordered online or something, because that hair just looked a hot, tore up mess. But anyway, she walks into the church. She's got these really high platform heels on, and I guess she's got her practicing those things, because she was going off in that pulpit. She was getting down. But it seemed to me, just based on my experience, that it was a bit played out for the cameras. Now, like I said, people who go to the Pentecostal churches are honestly, they're known for the jumping and the shouting and the screaming and the hollering and the people in the congregation talking back to the pastor every time the pastor says one thing, the people in the congregation say another. That's right, preach it, whatever, Well, she just seemed like she was just putting on a bit much. And when Whitney and her dad came walking in, I know they say, "Come as you are." Come as you are. Come to the church as you are. Come to God as you are. That's what the term is, the phrase. Come as you are. But when Whitney came walking in there with her ankle length, tight leather leggings, and I was like, okay, hopefully, they're not going to judge you too much based on how you're dressed, but maybe a longer, I don't know. Anyway, but I commend them. They came in there, they came as they were. And, Whitney said her dad needed that. Her dad, as you all know, is a recovering prescription pill addict. And he just was kind of ostracized and disowned by his family. And Whitney says she's really been the only one that's been there for her dad. So having other people to love on him and to make him feel welcome and to make him feel necessary and important and worthy was something that he really needed. So if they got what they needed from going to Mary's church, then I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to see that. But yeah, Mary was doing a bit much. She was putting on, a good bit for the cameras. And of course they didn't show everything in the church service, because honestly the church service was probably like 2.5 hours. So they would not have had enough time. It just trust me, I just know from experience that those church services, like those churches, tend to be on the long side. Anyway, this episode with Jen, it ends with the 1920s theme party that Whitney was holding. And Whitney had some strippers that, it was a bit awkward, but hey, whatever. I mean, I guess she was having fun. I don't know what the purpose of the party was for. I don't think it was anybody's birthday. I think it was just something to do. And we know how these housewife shows do. They have to have a party or a theme or an event or whatever. And Jen comes in and she's talking to Heather about Mary and Meredith. Now she's talking about Mary. Mary is the one that has the church. who's the pastor, who's married to a great grandfather. Jen in the first episode had this issue that she brought up with Mary, and Mary apologized to her. Mary, whether it was genuine or not, she accepted it. Mary said, it was not my intent to hurt your feelings. I didn't say anything about you negatively. I was just saying it smells like hospital, and you are telling me that your aunt had her 2 legs amputated and you have been in the hospital with her. So I am sorry. I was not trying to hurt your feelings. I was not trying to hurt your family. I was just saying that it smells like hospital. Whether her reasons for saying that were genuine or not, she apologized and Jen accepted it. Well, Jen wants to hold on to a grudge because she doesn't have anything else to do, okay? So when you don't have anything else to do, you don't have anything else to do but to hold on to a grudge with someone who's really not even trying to be in that space with you. The lady apologized, but Jen is upset that Whitney went to Mary's church, and then she finds out that Meredith also went to the church. And she's like, okay, Meredith, she cancels the slumber party on me, but she can go to Mary's church. So what? She wasn't sleeping over at the church. She went to a church service. Like, she was like, she's supposed to be my friend. She's supposed to be loyal to me. And she knows what Mary did to me. And Heather is sitting there and she's looking, she's like saying to the, in the confessional, she's like, I don't even understand, Jen. Why is she still talking about this? Because Mary apologized. So, like, if you weren't going to accept it, then why accept it? And if you accepted it, then why are you still talking about it? And I agree. If someone apologizes to you, you're either going to accept it or you're not. Just leave it alone. Either way, you should just leave it alone, because all you're doing is hurting yourself. Because the people, trust me, I know from experience, somebody can hurt you to the core, but they're going to go on living their life. They're not going to sit and think about you and how things are affecting you. Like, they're going to move on with their life. So she needs to just move on. And this really isn't that, not saying that her aunt and the procedure that she went through wasn't horrific. I know that it has to be. But I really feel like Jen is making this bigger than it really is. And it is just so not worth it. It's so not worth it. So as the episode is ending, they're showing us clips of the upcoming episode, which I cannot wait to see. We'll see how big it's going to be. But Jen she's going to go off about Mary and the cancellation of the slumber party to Meredith, and Meredith is just like, I'm not engaging in this. Like, this is ridiculous. And I agree with her. I was like, girl, please move on. This is so dumb. This is just dumb. And I know you don't have anything else to do, but I'm sure you can think of some other things, like start a business, learn a trade, like something. This is just ridiculous. So I'm curious to know. We'll find out more as the season progresses, because I'm wondering, like, how good things really are between Jen and her husband, because I know he works a lot, but I don't know. It's just giving me some thoughts about the marriage. So, but we'll see how things go. But anyway, that's it for this reality chat about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So guys, let me know your thoughts about this episode in the comment section. Let me know, like, how you feel about Jen. Like, is she doing the most, or are you really cool with how she flows and how she does things, and having 15 assistants and no job, no business, just needing to have yes men and yes women in her corner, because that's all they really seem to be to me. But again, those are just my thoughts. So let me know yours. This is the Minister of Beauty, here to share the Bible. That's business, inspiration, beauty, life, and enjoyment. So that's it for this reality chat. And until the next time, have an amazingly blessed and beautiful day.